Hi everyone, how is everyone doing today? Hope you guys are doing well. So, I've got this experience last night that is a bit suspicious. So I thought I'm going to share it with you. So this morning my flatmate moved out, so I am living by myself again. I am in the process of looking for a new flatmate, but that's not the issue here. The issue is throughout the night last night, I felt this extreme cold coming from like my upper arms, on my left arm specifically, and this area. And it was very specific and isolated and it's very special and is significant to me, specifically because the first time I met my flatmate, about like in September, very early November, I basically felt the same thing throughout that day before I met him. So from like during the day I felt that cold, and also and it was specifically cold. It was like the cold, the ice is inside the muscles, it's not inside the bones, which is how I experience cold in Sydney usually. So I understood it was very different. It was like a very different type of cold. It was, and also in a very weird, not weird, but like out of the ordinary place in my body, because I usually experience cold in my hands and also in my feet and sometimes in my stomach area because my stomach is quite cold. And then when the temperature really drops and then my body temperature drops, my spine would feel cold, and then that would make me feel dreadful, that would make me feel fearful. So those are the usual symptoms where I usually feel cold. So I was very aware that this was a special kind of cold because I don't usually experience it. And I think I wasn't really paying attention too much about it yesterday when it was happening, but I think I thought about it after my flatmate left, and then I realized, oh my God, that was the second time that I experienced that type of cold, specifically in that area, specifically, relating to my flatmate. And I was thinking, oh my God, what is happening? Like, why is it like the day I met him, I felt it like throughout the day before I met him, meaning like we were already communicating throughout the day, so we already have plans to meet up at the night. So like the connections were already established, and as soon as the connection was established, I was experiencing the cold. I remember that experience because I specifically told him, as part of small talk, oh, it was really cold, like, and I just kept pointing to this area. It's like I almost told him, because like this was the first time, so I wasn't really close, I wasn't really open, but I was almost tell him, no, this is a different type of cold, I usually don't feel it here, but I didn't end up telling him. But now I think about it, I think this cold is specifically related to him. And because I am extremely interested in the metaphysical world, in this spiritual world, ascension kind of thing. I used to be a tarot reader. I still do tarot reading every now and then, but I also I don't really take it as seriously as much now, maybe because I am not as interested anymore when it comes to spirit energy goes. I used to be, but now I'm not really. I just watch horoscopes every now and then because I don't find it as useful. And when it comes down to talking about goals and doing all that things, it's because usually you have to go into a lower frequency vibration, meaning like you have to experience like lower vibration emotion, which is usually dealing with dread, fear, anxiety, lots of panics. So that's why I don't want to experience those, because in most cases those are the emotions that you will feel and able to connect with entities or with things that are not very negative, because that are not very positive. So for me, like, if it's not positive, like, why do I even bother researching it? But I was specifically interested with this particular one because it felt cold, and I have experiences with coldness before, and the immediate response that I used to give when I experience cold, like when, for example, I would be close to someone, meaning like in the very close proximity physically with someone, like in a lift with strangers usually, and then suddenly as soon as I enter into his or her personal space, there's usually like this really cold feeling attached to them, and I would quickly move away, because I don't particularly like, I like cold weather, so, but this is a different type of feeling of cold. It was like, it's like dead cold, like death cold. I'm not even sure how I can explain it, because death cold is when you can feel there is no more life energy there, and then it sucks the life energy out of a person. And that kind of feeling, I never touched a dead person, I never touched a dead body before, but if I ever did, I assume it would feel like that. It would feel like a cold that is, a dead body is cold. And I was thinking, I'm sharing this because I was thinking, does my flatmate has like an entity attached to him? And then when, because when he first moved in here, he was basically just recently had an accident and had to come back and recover, and he recovered, which is why he moved out, because his body all functioning well and he's moving on with his life and everything. It's been like about 5 months, so it took him about 5 months to get his body together, from being told that, oh, you probably never walked again, blah blah blah, to him like doing all the regular stuff that he's doing now and being annoying like a usual man would be, which is a good sign for his health, physical health. I seriously thought about that. Like, I basically just googled like how does spirit feel like, just to research and confirm, or like my inkling. And I like the fact that at the top of the search list on Google, I know this is like not a thorough research, okay, and it's extremely biased. I definitely understood that, because like I basically put the keyword spirit, cold, meaning ghost, whatever, so it was highly specific. If you want to be neutral in research, you probably have to cut down on those keywords, because it was highly specifically targeted. For the people who are scientific minded out there, I understand. So and the first article that I read was basically saying, if it's a high vibration energy, it will feel warm. If it's a low vibration energy, you feel cold, which is how I definitely experience things these days. I think like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I would not be able to confirm that, but now I've lived through enough years, and I actually experience warmth. Not inflammation though, not heat, but warmth, meaning like your heart is open and you feel like this feeling of spring, when it's a bit chilly in the air, but the sun is very comforting. It's very pleasing to the skin, to the soul. It just feels like it's a relief, right? So that's a higher vibration energy. Meaning like you experience better feeling emotions. That's what it all means. Like, that's all it means. Higher vibrational energy means that you feel better. You just emotionally feel better. That's it. And I like, back to this particular cold shoulder thing. There you go. It's a cold shoulder. I'm cold shouldering him. That's a sign, isn't it? But specifically to this cold thing, I never really felt that it was mine. I never felt it personal. It never induced dread into me. It doesn't induce, the feeling of fear. It doesn't induce all the things that I usually feel with cold. So in a way, I am able to detach this particular sensation of cold from my own emotion. So that's what made me really thought hard, and kind of just theorize that maybe it is an entity that he brought in with him into this place. And I'm just so glad that it goes with him. It went with him when he's leaving. But my concern is now, I could, what was my role in that particular area? Was my role just enough to suspend the entity, to feed on him throughout his stay here so that he can recover? But what would happen when he goes back out there and the entity is just with him and I'm not with him anymore? I'm not physically around him. So will he go into another accident? Will he go die this time? Because I don't feel like he has changed his behavior by any means. He hasn't changed his attitude towards life. And as he gets better, he's more entitled, and I'm not saying he's a bad man, by no means, no. He's just I think he just reverted back to his old personality. And I was also cleaning his cutleries this morning, and I found his cutleries were getting rusty, and there was a lot of because I separated my cutleries with his cutleries just because I want to have my own cutleries. I don't like sharing. I don't like sharing drinks, things that you put into your mouth. I just don't like sharing that bit. I don't mind sharing a bowl, and then we kind of, and I don't mind if I'm dipping my spoon into the communal bowl, and then the other person dip their spoon into the communal bowl. I just don't want to share my spoon with another person. So that's just personally me. So I separated our cutleries when he first moved in, and then I never touched it before. I never touched it again afterwards, purely because it's him. It's his. It's his responsibility. He's an adult. He's almost 30. I don't think I should tell him anything about how to clean your cutleries. But today, this morning, because he moved out, I was cleaning his cutleries, and I realized the place where he put his cutleries, it has kind of mold at the bottom of it as well, and the cutleries has a rust in the middle, in the tip of the spoon, and I don't understand how that happens. And then, because we're using the same thing, we're using the same supplies, right? We're using the same sponge, we're using the same soap, we're using the same water, so there should be no reason why his cutleries are like that. And I know he washes his cutleries really well. So, and I checked on my other ones, because I got other cutleries attached to it, and other kitchen supply, pair of scissors, something else, and they're doing fine. And then I remember this series of clips that I watched on YouTube, which was the rice experiment. If you don't know what it is, just search it on YouTube. It was basically it's kind of a water experiment where you basically separate 3 cooked rice into 3 different jars. One is labeled "I love you," one is labeled "I hate you," and another is ignored. And then you track the development of these 3 rice that basically came from the same cooker, from the same process of rice being cooked and everything. On the "I love you" jar, you basically say "I love you," you put praise into it, you put positive words into it, and then "I hate you," you put vile words into it, and then you put negative thoughts into it, you piece of shit kind of rice, blah blah blah. And then the ignored rice, you just don't touch it, you don't even see it, you don't even do anything about it. And then if you see it on YouTube all over, I'm not saying this is scientifically proven. It's definitely a theory out there, like just a bunch of people may having fun about it. I think like if you do like a double blind test or something, it's definitely not going to be maybe scientifically proven. So it's just something that is, you know, going on out there. You can search it, but it's just like an illustrations that I want to kind of bring up purely because is that one of the reason why? Is it because like when he's doing all his chore, does he hate it? Is that what makes this ugliness basically show up in the cutleries? Because there is nothing difference between what he's like, everything, all the other variables are the same, right? There's no other different variables except that it's mine and it's his. The only variable that is different is that it belongs to him and it belongs to me, and then, you know, and then we wash it ourselves. So it's like, oh, is it like when he does it? Because when you wash something, you have to do it with water, right? And with water, you basically carried, if you carried intention, then the water can basically transfer that intention to, you know, to apply that intention to anything that it touches. I think you can find a Nobel Prize winning 2014 something about that, about the memory of water. That one's a scientific fact, I think. You can Google it. So I'm thinking, have I been living with very negative energy? Has they been sucking on my energy for the past 5 months? Is that why I have been feeling very cloudy and emotional, and anxiety is kind of coming back? So, well, I don't really have a conclusion. If I have to guess, my conclusion is that, which is like, he brought probably an entity to me in this house, and then the entity latches on to me, so that it basically doesn't feed on him for like 5 months, but now it left, but he left the place, it goes back to him because it belongs to him, so it can't attach itself to me because